Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I totally agree. I think there really is some unique opportunities where we can streamline the approval process and at the same time not actually degrade our key environmental provisions. Mr. Crabtree, appreciate you being here and sharing your story. Want to dive in a little bit to get some additional understanding of the process here. Do pipelines such as the Keystone Pipeline receive federal funding?
No, that's mostly a privately funded operation.
So private sector investment.
Yes, sir.
And so they're not risking taxpayer funds.
In fact, it's just the opposite. You know, most of these pipelines, once they're in service, provide tax revenue for states and locals.
Okay, and do your colleagues have specialized training and skills?
Excuse me, Congressman?
The training and skill needed to be able to do your job. You're a welder, you're a foreman. I know you had a couple hundred people under you at one point. What kind of specialized training and skills would you have?
It's mostly on-the-job training. Like I said, I've been doing this for 25 years, and it's, you know, to make the amount of money that we're making, it ain't something that you're offered right up front. It's many years of training.
So a young man or woman coming out of high school works for a couple of years. What kind of salary range or hourly pay might they be able to obtain?
Well, entry-level positions in this field, you know, $50,000 to $70,000 is not unheard of. It all depends on how often you want to work. It's like any field. The more effort you put into it, the more you're.
So say you're now say that individual goes through, they become a journeyman. Say they're 5 to 10 years in. What might a salary range look like for that type of man or woman?
Well, then at that point, you're looking at, you know, a career paying jobs, you know, well over $100,000 a year.
So $100,000 per year, you're coming out with a high school background, you're learning on-the-job training skills, private sector infrastructure investment, and then we saw on day one of the Biden administration, by the stroke of a pen, killed thousands of jobs, including your own?
Yes, sir. That's one of the very first things that happened on the inauguration. You know, I was laid off at 3 o'clock that afternoon.
You were laid off on the inauguration day at 3 p.m.?
Yes, sir. It was one of the very first agendas the president had. That's why I took it so personally. You know, we're facing a lot of problems in this country. I don't think laying me off on day one was the smartest move to make.
So you're a foreman, and how many men and women were working under you or with you at that time?
At the time on the project, it was in the early stages, maybe 100, but, you know, throughout the spring and the summer is when we would have been adding those 12,000.
But let's call it a rough math, 100 or so individuals are working with you at that time.
At that time.
Were they all laid off at the same time?
Everybody.
So on day one of the Biden administration, 3 p.m., following his decision to kill the Keystone Pipeline, 100 individuals, including yourself, lost their jobs.
That was just on my specific part of the project.
Right, just in your specific
in Nebraska,
part, right?
Yes.
Thousands of jobs total, but in your personal experience, you saw jobs that were paying absolute living wages, entry level 50 to 70,000. As you gained experience, you might be in your late 20s, early 30s at this point. You could be earning north of $100,000 a year, building infrastructure, private sector, no taxpayer dollars at risk. The permits had been previously issued, stroke of a pen. Those jobs are gone.
Those jobs are gone, building a pipeline, bringing the same oil that's still coming into the country this day.
And would you encourage other folks to take the career path that you've chosen?
I'm going to. I can't give up on it. I don't want this country to end up in the same situation as, say, Germany, where we're having to buy fuel from Russia, of all places. So I'm going to encourage people to stay in this industry because we need fossil fuels, whether people like it or not.
And have you seen that demand for oil and natural gas increase or decrease over the course of the last year?
Well, I think everyone can tell from the prices at the pump. You know, it's a supply and demand issue. It's increasing. It's not going down.
I agree with you, and I think one of the challenges that we see it in Wisconsin. Wisconsin gets really cold in the winter, and home heating costs are going up. The average home heating cost is up well north of $100 for every household. And in a state like Wisconsin, where the heating costs have gone up dramatically, and it's been pretty cold, which is actually pretty normal in Wisconsin in January and February, it's clobbering families in the pocketbooks, in particular low-income earners and seniors on fixed incomes. People who are high-income earners can navigate through these fluctuations in their utility bills, but man, I can't tell you how many low-income workers, seniors on fixed incomes come up and talk to me, either at the pump or in the grocery store when I'm home in Janesville or I'm over in Kenosha or Racine, Wisconsin. it's time and again. And so I think it's just really critical that we look at our private sector infrastructure investment, in particular as it relates to energy, and the impact that this has in some of our large urban areas on the East Coast, but it also has it across the board, across the United States. It's really hitting people in their pocketbooks right now, and I think there's an opportunity to change course, in particular on private sector infrastructure investment. Cognizant of the time, Mr. Chairman, I will yield back.